Hey guys, me, Steve, Cliff Anshu Chevrolet. In my 10 years here at Cliff Anshu Chevrolet, this probably has to be the nicest car, the best performance vehicle that I've seen, that I've gotten to touch, that we've gotten in here. It's the 2023 Corvette Stingray Z06. We received an allocation and we called our customer up and we were able to order it a couple months ago, and it actually arrived here quicker than we thought it would. We're gonna do a really quick walk around on it, some of the differences you see in the Z06 versus the C8, and I think what we're gonna talk about, is it worth going up to the Z06 versus the C8? We're gonna buckle in and find out right now. Let's get to it. Those of you who are new to the channel, my name is Steve Jacobson. I am a car salesman here at Cliff Anshu Chevrolet in Alpena, Michigan. We are a Chevrolet dealer. I've been doing these YouTube videos for a little while now to be able to help educate people, customers, salespeople on the Chevrolet lineup. So we'll get right into it. Today we're talking about the Z06. Is one beautiful vehicle. And as I said earlier, we're going to talk about the difference between the C8 Z51 and then the Z06, and what does about $30,000 difference between MSRP price points get you when you decide to go all the way up to that top rung of the ladder. So we already know that the Z06 package or trim level is a track ready version of the C8 Corvette, but it's a little bit more than that. We get a different engine. Mechanically, the vehicle is almost completely different, but we get a different engine, suspension, brakes, and even as you walk around the vehicle, there's subtle changes. We do know that we do know that she is a little wider, a little thicker in the back end. The way they've designed the architecture, there's a little more downforce wind on it, so it's going to stay more planted to the road. So we know back in 2020 when Chevrolet debuted the C8 Stingray, we know that they put a 6.2 liter V8 that produces 490 horsepower. That was paired with an 8-speed automatic dual clutch transmission that went 0 to 60 in that 2.8, 2.6 range, depending on where you're at from. So we know for the Z06 that they put a naturally aspirated dual overhead cam 5.5 liter V8 with a flat plane crankshaft. It will produce 670 horsepower. It's paired up again with that 8-speed dual clutch automatic transmission, but the ratios have changed a little bit, and it has a shorter final drive ratio, so it's gonna get you there quicker. The 5.5 liter, now called the LT6, it is the most powerful, free-breathing V8 engine ever installed on a road car. So we know the 6.2 got you to 0 to 60 in like 2.9, like 3 seconds. We know on that 0 to 60 time, we've shaved like 0.2 of a second off of an already unbelievable time that was under 3 seconds. So safe to say it's pretty fast. Suspension-wise, there's a specifically tuned control arms on the Z06. Add in that magnetic ride control, becomes standard with it. The Z06 brakes are a little over an inch, 1.2 to be exact, larger than the Z51. Besides the Z06 having a larger brake compared to the Z51, and the front calipers on the Z06 are 6-piston compared to the Stingray's 4-piston brakes. Carbon ceramic rotors are included when you go up to the Z07 track package. So we have a little bit of a different tire that's wrapped around that wheel. So the 245 up front and the 305 in the rear, the Z06 goes 275 in the front and 345 in the rear. The Z06 cars up front come with a 20-inch front and a 21-inch rear aluminum wheel, wrapped in a Pilot Sport 4S rubber standard. You do have the option for carbon fiber wheels if you decide, as are the Pilot Sport Cup 2R tires that were specifically designed for the Z06. As I mentioned earlier in the beginning of the video, the Z06 measures 3.6 inches wider than the C8 Stingray to fit those larger tires in the back. And there's also more brake cooling, and the rear is different than the Stingray's too, with center quad exit exhaust tips. The Z06 also has larger side air intakes to it. We know that it's available both in the coupe and the convertible. This one behind me is a convertible. On that front fascia and that intake that we talked about, there's actually 2 radiators in the front of the Z06 versus just the one on the one side for the Z51. So before we brought this on the floor as the customer's picking it up this coming week, I was able to make sure that we recorded the vehicle starting, so that's right here. Let's check that out. As you can tell, the Z06 sounds completely different than the Z8. It's a little bit more higher pitched, and you can definitely hear there's a different idle to it. You'll notice at the initial start that it's very loud. That's because the Z06 is fitted with a vacuum controlled variable muffler. The lower engine vacuum indicates a higher RPM or engine load, which opens the muffler for a louder sound and less restriction. Interior wise, there isn't much difference between the Z06 versus the Z51. There are a couple of seat options and different trim packages that you can add depending on which trim level you get. But for the most part, they're very similar, especially the layout wise. So that's the difference between the Z06 and the Z51. Would you pay the extra money for the Z06? Let me know in the comments below. Obviously, the C8 is an unbelievable machine. We've done very well with it here at Cliff Ansty Chevrolet, and I know Chevrolet overall has. And the Z06 certainly is a hot commodity right now. If you liked this video, do me a favor and hit the like button, probably somewhere down here. Last week, or the week before, we did the video on the Chevy Trax with my friend Meg, who won that $100,000. This week we did the Z06. I have a couple Silverado videos hopefully coming up. We have a couple really neat trucks on our lot right now that I'm hoping to get to. And then of course I'd really like to get to that driver information center on the Chevy Silverado. Also coming up, we just finally got our first 2023 Chevy Colorado in. I'm happy to get to that one as well. So do me a favor, hit the subscribe button so you can keep up with everything that's going on here. I appreciate you guys tuning in. I'll catch you on the next one.